Good evening, everyone. I'm Katie Moore. Well, they did it. The Saints will make their first trip to the Super Bowl in the history of the NFL. After a magical season that put the team on the top of the rankings, the dreams of Saints fans all across the Gulf Coast are coming true tonight. We have extensive coverage of the game, and we want to begin tonight with Mike Haas, who's standing by live inside the Superdome, who just saw that amazing game-winning kick. What is it like in that dome, Mike?
Katie, unbelievable. Garrett Hartley with a 40-yarder in overtime. The Saints have never played past January 21st. Now they're going to play for the first time in February. Yes, the third time was a charm against the Minnesota Vikings. They played the Vikings their very first playoff appearance and lost to them in Minnesota in the NFC Championship game. But hey, you see the people leaving. They are leaving as champions of the NFC Championship. I am inside the Superdome. You see those fans? You see a lot of purple in those fans, don't you? You see a lot of purple jerseys, and that crowd leaving the Superdome tonight unhappy because this night belongs to the Saints. 31-28 in overtime, winners over the Minnesota Vikings in just dramatic fashion. And again, we saw outside, Scott Satzfield will be getting some of those Saints fans. Let's go to Scott Satzfield outside the Superdome.
Well, that's right, Mike. Absolutely amazing. Let me tell you, when that field goal went through, police officers, cab drivers, everyone out here outside the Superdome cheered, celebrated, hugged. Just an amazing experience. And I can also tell you that we heard the crowd inside the Superdome outside. That has got to be loud. We're standing here with some folks cheering for the Saints. What were you thinking when that field goal went through?
Man, I can't even think right now. Somebody pinch me, because guess what? I cannot believe it. Woo! It's real! It's real! Number one! Shout out to the
We gonna win it! Let me ask you, what were you thinking when the field goal went through?
I could not believe it. I was like, Lord, please don't let Hartley miss this field goal. But he made it when it counted. I was like, we was going to beat his if he would have missed it.
Thank you. As you can see, people very, very excited. Very, very excited. And again, everyone outside the Superdome hugging, cheering, celebrating. If we can get a look, get the photographer Larry Sherling to shoot, you can see, of course, people coming out of the Superdome now. The celebration is well underway here in New Orleans outside the Superdome. Just an unbelievable experience. And right now, we want to go on ahead and send it to another place that I know is going wild, and that is the French Quarter where Bagad Chaban is standing by. Bagad.
Scott, what a difference just a few seconds makes. Bourbon Street was virtually empty. Now you can't even see the street anymore. Go ahead and take a look. Fans have flooded the streets just seconds after scoring that final win. Saints fans rejoiced. They came out of area bars, area restaurants, hugging friends, family, hugging strangers. This is such a huge win for Saints fans, for the city. And they really see this as something that they've been waiting for, something that they've been hoping for, and something that they knew was going to happen. You just have Saints fans pouring in. In the distance, you can actually see fireworks. I'm not really sure where that's coming from, but Saints fans are just so excited right now. You have a sort of deafening in your ear if you're even remotely near Bourbon Street. They just continue to pour out of restaurants and bars and hotel rooms where many have had parties watching the game. Just so rejoiced now. Katie?
I can only imagine what that French Quarter is going to look like in the next hour or so, with people just celebrating. This means so much to the city. And we want to now go back to Mike Haas, who is again inside the Superdome for the latest on what's happening there. Haas?
Well, Katie, again, it's going to take a while for Scott Satzfield and all of our crews outside, because nobody wants to leave right now. Again, we're underneath kind of the stadium right here, right next to the locker room. Tom Benson, the Saints owner, is walking around the Superdome floor right now. He's got the umbrella, leading the happiest second line that he has ever led in his life. Certainly owner of this team for several decades, the 43rd year, and now they're going to Super Bowl 44. I was in this stadium. I was here in the stadium when the Saints beat the Eagles for the playoff game in 2006, and literally, you just did not want to leave. You just did not want to leave your seat, and that's what's going to happen again tonight. You see the shot outside. You see Scott Satzfield again. It's a Sunday night, and it's almost 9:30, but I can assure you no one's going home. The party is just beginning. It's beginning for the 70,000 plus that are here in the Superdome. Tom Benson and the team still out on the field. These guys don't want to go home. You do see a lot of purple and Minnesota Vikings fans kind of strolling out. It looked like for a moment there in the fourth quarter, it looked like for a moment they would get their way. But Brett Favre, some questionable plays towards the end in regulation when it looked like Minnesota could kick a field goal to possibly win the game, but was not to be. Overtime, Saints win the coin toss. Saints drive it down. Let's go back to come back because I want to show you right now what a lot of people are going to be talking about. Mike Milan, one of our photographers, just handed it to me. It is the headline that you'll be seeing tomorrow morning. Super Saints. Saints defeat the Vikings to give the team their first trip to the Super Bowl. Drew Brees right there, the headline in the Times-Picayune, a collector's item. It's one of the first things that they started handing out on the sidelines when the game was over. But the Saints going to the Super Bowl in Miami again. What a magical year to go 13-0. Of course, the Colts were 14-0, had some questions toward the end, but lost 3 straight, came back with a demolishing win over the Cardinals, and that erased that whole 3-game losing streak. I'm standing here with my friend Juan Kincaid, who covers this team certainly a lot more than I do, being in the news department. I mean, on pins and needles, what do you think?
Oh, man, let me tell you something, Mike. When you watch this football team, there's been something special about this season this year. Every time something needed to happen, a big-time play, they've made it happen. It looked like the Vikings were driving for that game-winning field goal. To the life of me, why they throw the ball on 3rd down when you're in field goal range, I have no idea, but I'm so glad they did. Jahri Evans dropped a sheer interception earlier, but he made it count this time around. And that final drive, he just had a feeling. They get the 4th and 1 over the top of Pierre Thomas. They get the calls their way. It was not to be out. They have ridden the coattails of each other and of this fan base, not want to let anybody down. It is a special thing to be able to see this Super Saints and knowing they're going to Miami, a place they deserve to be. And Miami's going to be an amazing place now. Right. I mean, the Saints, and you're going against Peyton Manning. I mean, it's a New Orleans Super Bowl. Right. It really is. Not just the Saints, but Peyton Manning there as well. It's going to be fantastic, the must-see event in pro sports.
Certainly the fans are now kind of, we'll also give them a shot. You can see some of the fans finally starting to work their way here to the Superdome. They don't want to leave. I think they feel like they kind of have to leave. But again, Scott Satchfield and Bill Capo outside the Superdome with some very, very happy fans.
Well, absolutely, Mike. And you know, a lot of these comments we're hearing from fans obviously start sounding the same, but it's what it is. 43 years in the making for this moment. So much frustration all the way back to the Aints, the bags on the heads, times when the Superdome... Thank you. Times when fans thought that it may never get any better, and here we are. The Saints have punched their ticket to the Super Bowl in Miami, and it seems like for some folks the moment is not even really sunk in yet. And let's go on ahead and bring in our own Bill Capo. Bill, I know you were inside. I know that we've just talked to Mike Haas about the experience inside. Tell me.
You want to see something that's going in scrapbooks all over town? Everyone who is here tonight will have this ticket and talk about this game forever. It was just an amazing experience. I'm having trouble talking. I don't have much of a voice left. I tell you what, to be in that dome during that game, for the fans, it was the most incredible roller coaster ride of emotions as the team made mistakes at points and made incredible miracles at other points. So okay, thank you. Where you can see everybody, New Orleans is an incredibly emotional town, and probably tonight is one of the most emotional times ever. At the moment they won, because remember how close we came to losing several times in that game, and the fans kept looking around at each other in total disbelief, like this just can't be. Well, at the point we won, wait, Larry, you just, there she goes. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. And there it is, the NFC champion 2009 cap. That's never happened to the Saints before. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go to Doug Mouton.
We have seen this scene here in Allegros in Poitras Plaza, right outside the game. Before the game, thousands gathered outside. The bar filled up, got quiet, and now the crowd is excited again. The explosion in here, first on Tracy Porter's interception, and then on Garrett Hartley's kick. I'm going to shut up now. I want you to watch what it was like in here when Garrett Hartley made that kick. Take a look at it. That was it, a thing of beauty. Explosions of emotion all across New Orleans. In here, the cheering lasted.
Welcome back to the Superdome. They just don't want to leave. The Saints winning at 31-28. And to my right, a gentleman who knows a lot about this franchise. You've been the play-by-play Channel 4 sports director and play-by-play of the Saints, Jim Henderson. What kind of emotions are you going through?
I'm just so happy for the fans, and I'm so happy for the longtime employees of this organization, the Silky Powells, the Dan Simmons, the Kevin Mangums, you know, people like that who've gone through such awful times and fought through it for so long. They deserve this. The fans of New Orleans and the fans of the New Orleans Saints, which are now worldwide, they all deserve this so much.
It's hard to, there were so many emotional turns in this game. But as Juan and I were talking, the Saints just seem to always have an answer this season, and they did again tonight.
They did. You know, you got to take your hat off to Pierre Thomas. And he hadn't returned kicks all season long for the most part. Courtney Roby goes down. He has that big return of the overtime kickoff of 40 yards. Then on 4th and less than 1, he goes up and over the pile to keep the drive alive. Of course, he had a touchdown on the ground. He had one through the air. Pierre Thomas had a wonderful game today. Mike Bell wasn't used at all. And things just happen to go in the Saints' favor. Garrett Hartley, here's a guy that begins to get here with a 4-game suspension, and he comes on to be, he's kicked himself into immortality in this city forever. He'll never buy a beer in the French Quarter the rest of his life.
It was, they had so many turnovers, the Vikings did, and the Saints capitalized on some but didn't on a lot, and you just kept thinking, gosh, you wondered if that was going to come back to really haunt them.
A couple of times when the ball was loose, and a couple of times they tried to pick it up. Scott Shanley at one time and allowed them to retain possession, but the Saints never gave up defensively. They just kept hammering Brett Favre. He wasn't sacked, but boy, he knew the Saints were out there. Bobby McCray hit him maybe a little bit low, damaged his ankle, but you got to take your hat off to Brett Favre as well. 40 years old to play as hard as he did. But you know, that one interception to Porter, we remarked about it in the booth. He's gotten away with that throw all year long. He had the highest interception to touchdown ratio, plus 26 touchdowns to interceptions this year. And as recently as last week against the Cowboys, Brett Favre gets away with throws like that usually, and Tracy Porter came up with the interceptions. Every time they'd come down, maybe for the kill shot, the Saints would find a way to extend the game and keep themselves in it.
But think about that last drive. You don't think the Vikings and Brad Childress and Brett Favre are answering some tough questions right now. They got the ball on the 32. He calls a second timeout. Guy's been playing football for 25 years. He knows way better than that. They lose 5 yards. And even on the interception, I mean, I'm watching this from down here. Even if he catches the ball, there's only 7 seconds left. They got no time to clock it to even get a field goal. I mean, I think clock management, they're going to be getting some tough questions in that Viking locker room.
Yeah, I think they will too. They definitely mismanaged the clock toward the end of that game.
To the pleasure of a lot of these fans here.
Well, you know, it's great to think about now in retrospect with the Saints having won, but I think had this game turned differently, you would have second-guessed the way the Saints end regulation. I mean, for those 2 safe play calls, not even to take a chance throwing the ball into the end zone for a possible Hail Mary or a possible pass interference. I mean, both teams were essentially playing for overtime, and that's what they got. You know, the Vikings called heads just like they did to begin the game. It came up tails, and they never saw the ball again. And that'll be another debate.
Right.
You know, that'll rage. That debate will rage once more. Why doesn't the other team get a chance to score as well? I think we would have gone on all night. If this were a collegiate game, I think we'd be playing until Fat Tuesday.
Certainly, this organization has been through a lot, but you felt a change. You felt a different organization post-2006. Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, things, as you did one of your commentaries, this is not your daddy's Saints. They don't have the baggage of decades of losing. This is not your daddy's Saints, and they proved it again tonight.
You watched the Saints for a long time. In years past, something fluky would have happened. There'd be something happening, and you'd say, oh, that's how we lose it, and they would. And today they overcame a lot of those things. I think it all comes down to the class of the individual in the locker room. They weeded out those guys. They weeded out those guys that are going to be there for you in the good times, but not in the tough times. They're going to be the guys that are always thinking about themselves rather than the team. Those guys are gone now, replaced by a great aggregation of athletes.
You think about what the next 2 weeks are going to be like, certainly for Saints fans who none of them will be going to work tomorrow, so we'll start fresh on Tuesday. But Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, Joseph Adai, and the Colts, and Archie, and what the Mannings have meant to this city. And it is literally, you know, the focus is going to be back on this city. The focus is going to be New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans, even from Indianapolis aside. For the next 2 weeks, this is going to be a unique time.
Yeah, it's exactly right. This is the best matchup possible for New Orleans. Obviously, the Saints being in it, but also the Colts. The top 2 seeds, the teams that were undefeated through 13 and 14 games. The focus will come back on New Orleans because of all the great connections to New Orleans. So it's going to be a wonderful time. The buildup will be huge. I just can't wait.
It's great here in the Superdome. We're on the floor, but outside, that's where Scott Satsfield is.
Visiting with Saints Pro Bowl right guard Jahri Evans. Long way from Bloomsburg to Miami in Super Bowl 44, isn't it?
Yeah, long way. So excited. Can't wait.
Tell me about the emotions out there in the course of this game in which no team ever led by more than 7 points in it. It was so back and forth.
Emotions was very high, you know, but, you know, when you're out there, you got to stay calm, you got to keep your composure, and you got to take one play at a time. And he's like, win on every play. And that was our game plan, and we came out there, and Garrett Hartley kicked the 3 points to put us up.
He nailed it, didn't he? No question about it.
Oh, no question about that one. He nailed it. That was a huge kick.
And it's been such a tough postseason for kickers. And yet he only got one opportunity today, and he kicked himself into immortality, didn't he?
That's right, man. We were so happy for him, and we were happy as a team.
I can't imagine that there was any doubt in your mind that this football team with Sean Payton was going to go for it on 4th and 1.
No doubt at all. In that situation, you know, it's no time to be timid. You got to go out there and you got to get it. And Coach Payton made the call, and Pierre made a great run going over the top, and he got it.
Pierre Thomas, great game for him tonight.
Awesome game by Pierre. You know, he's been playing well all season. When he has the ball, he's just a playmaker. He makes plays, and he's another guy. You get him out in space, he's hard to tackle, he's hard to bring down.
How will you celebrate tonight? What are you going to do?
I don't know. I got to stop sweating first of all and then calm down a little bit. But I don't know. You know, just hang out with my family and friends.
Well, you mentioned Pierre Thomas. I think we're going to join him at the podium. Jahri, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys.
You said something about ESPN X Factor.
We are with Garrett Hartley, who kicked himself into Saints immortality today. Tell me the story that you were just relating to me a second ago about you calling your dad in the middle of the night.
It was weird, you know, I couldn't really sleep too well, and I called him about 2:15 in the morning, and we were just talking, and first thing he said was like, why aren't you sleeping? And I said, Dad, I'm just, I think tomorrow's going to come down to a kick about a 42 from the right hash. And, he just talked about, calm me down, and what any father would do. And, I think we were a little off. It was a 40 from the right hash, but it was just truly remarkable.
You know, there's so many kickers, so much has been made of postseason of kickers having their problems. Nate Kading last week. How soon into overtime did you start thinking about this could come down to me?
You know, I think it started actually halfway through the fourth quarter, just, you know, knowing how things looking, how they were playing out. And, you know, John was a big help, you know, just coming over there and telling me, you know, things that he's done in his past. And just go out there and kind of in my own little zone, kind of watch the game, but, you know, mainly just get in the zone for whenever the team needs to be able to come through.
I remember John told me one time he preferred the left hash rather than the right, because on the right hash you have a tendency to hook it. Did he give you any sort of swing tips at all coming into this about keep your head down, do this, do that?
You know, it was kind of a learning experience from the Tampa game, and I had a couple thoughts in my mind, just head down and, you know, follow through, and I guess that's what happened. You know?
When they iced you, Garrett, and you came to the sideline and Sean was talking to you, what did he say?
He just had some words of encouragement.
Was it truly encouragement?
It was actually, it was, you know, definitely put a smile on my face. I was very relaxed going into the kick, and I can't be happier just for the team. Just everything that we've been through. You know, I've only been with them for a short time, but, you know, the team, you know, through Katrina, and just now giving, you know, the team just, you know, a chance to go out there and play in the big show.
And what a story you are. I mean, from the depths of despair to the pinnacle of anybody's profession, at least at the moment.
Yeah, it was quite a roller coaster ride, hasn't it? You know, from the suspension in the offseason to missing the first 4 games, to coming back, to backing up John, finally getting a green light to go ahead and play in the Washington game, and, you know, hitting an 18-yarder that game, and then, you know, learning from the hard miss versus Tampa and just everything that's happened this season. You know, I'm 23 years old and I have a lot of learning and maturing to do. And however, you know, I just got to take whatever I can and learn from guys that have been around, like the John Carneys, and just see if I can piece it together.
Thank you for taking time away from your family and from your father. We appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much.
Right,
Congratulations, Garrett.
Congratulations. Well done. Wow. 23.
And I wonder how many of those people out on Bourbon Street are locals, which is a little bit different from Mardi Gras, but it certainly is packed out there. And we want to check in with someone who I'm sure has been hoping for this day for a very, very long time. We want to talk to Dave Dixon on the telephone tonight. He is, of course, the father of the Superdome, the father of the Saints. Mr. Dixon, how are you feeling tonight?
I feel out of this world. This is beyond my wildest dreams. For it to happen quite in this manner. I always visualized them winning by 8 touchdowns or something.
And what do you think about the fact that it was a narrow victory?
Oh, I thought it was.
Because it certainly was a roller coaster ride.
Mickey, so many people are going to give credit to the players and how they played the game, but when you look back on this season, it's the pieces you guys went after to assemble this football team and get them to where they are now. Talk about how it's going to come full circle now.
Well, you know, I think the work that on a couple of opportunities to get turnovers, and you just think, oh man, everything's going against us, and yet our guys stood tall, made big plays. Every time we had to make a big play, I think we made a big play. And, you know, I'm just proud of everyone. I mean, there's so many guys that contributed today. You know, Courtney Roby was a big contribution, and Randall Gay, and Jabari Greer, and the guys that have been here, Scott Fajita. I mean, just every guy, it seemed like, played a big role in today's game, and I'm just really proud of them.
It really shows maybe how much this team has grown up in a season. Last year, the ball didn't bounce this team way on many different occasions. And this season, it really has bounced their way. They've made their own luck.
Yeah.
And nothing's been handed to them. They've taken things when they seem like they were down and out. And this is another situation with the late interception by Porter and then the Hartley field goal, a guy that was going back and forth with Carney all year long.
Yep.
And he's finally given the trust and saying, you know what, this is your job. And we have faith in that you can do the job, and he gets it done.
Yeah, you know, I think our team has grown up, and I think that with that comes an expectation to win and not just a hope to win. And when you expect to win and you have you know, a bad bounce or a turnover or something go against you, you just shrug it off and go to the next play. And if you're hoping to win, you kind of think, oh no, here we go again, you know, and it's not going to happen for us. But you know, our team's grown past that, and you know, I think it's credit to our players first of all, but it's really a credit to Sean Payton and our coaching staff. They just, you know, I'm just so proud of them and the job that they do. You know, it's exciting. It's fun.